Today's topic of discussion is functions. Functions in Python. A function is a block of organized, reusable code that is intended to perform a single cohesive task. Cohesive in terms of related. The related tasks are grouped together in the form of functions. Function is reusable. It can be called any number of times by any other function. Therefore, uh, that piece of code could be utilized number of times. For instance, print is a function which is built in almost every programming language. There are built-in functions. Also, it allows user to define their own functions, which are known as user-defined functions. Functions could be built-in and user-defined. Essentially, these user-defined functions are those functions which is created by the user. In this chapter, we will learn how to create a user-defined function in Python. Function would begin with the keyword def. Apparently, when you would like to define a function, you have to begin it with def keyword. Like in Java, you have a class keyword for defining class. You have public, static, void. You don't explicitly specify function or procedure, but you write like public, static, or if there is no static, also just void or int return type. There, the syntax of function definition is to have the visibility um, and then followed by return type and function name, parameter list that you find in C or Java. Whereas in Python, you don't have such elaborate definition of a function. Rather, you have just a keyword def followed by the name of the function. This is function name, and within parentheses, you can provide the list of arguments. Function block begins with def followed by function name and parentheses. Input parameters or arguments should be placed within these parentheses. If you have 5 parameters, you specify 5. If you have 4, you specify 4, and so on. The first statement of a function can be an optional statement, which is a docstring. Docstring is uh, primarily used to specify the documentation related to that function. In Java, please recall you have a documentation comment. Besides, you have this and this. You also have slash and two asterisk, which will add up the comments or details or information about a particular block. It could be a class, function, variable, or any other construct. Likewise, here there is a documentation string of the function, or also known as doc string. This is like a string immediately following the function name that defines the function. The code block begins with um, begins at the next line indented properly, and function header ends with a colon. Function header includes def keyword, function name, followed by function arguments or parameters within parentheses. Uh, it ends with a colon. Subsequently, the block of the function is indented to 5 steps forward. The return statement, return and an expression, whatever you would like to return, would exit the function and passes the control back to the caller. A return statement with no argument is like returning nothing and just exiting the function. You could have return without any parameter to that return statement, or you could have return with a variable, or you could have written with an expression as well. All right. That's all about a function introduction. This is the syntax given. Def is the keyword. Whatever follows def is the name of the function, which is user defined, of course. And here function name cannot be a keyword or any other name which is already defined. A list of parameters and a colon. After colon, there is a string. This is known as function docstring. This function docstring is used to describe the function. If you would like to add a comment uh, or a specific information related to function, you could write here. Function suite is the block of code uh, belonging to this function. Written followed by an optional expression or a variable or anything that you would like to return. This is an example. Def print me. Def is the keyword that defines the function. Print me is the name of the function. Str is the parameter. This prints a passed string into this function. This is docstring followed by print str. This function is intended to print whatever has been passed to it as a parameter. That's it. Its job is that. Return. A return statement does not take here any expression. It's just returning nothing and going back to the caller. Calling a function. This is function definition. Function has to be called. Function could be called normally after the function definition. There is no specific function that calls another function as in C or Java. In C or Java, you have a specific, is a very significant function known as main function that begins the execution of the program, and that is responsible for calling the other functions which are defined by the user. However, in Python, there is no such function called main. It's like the function block ends and then our main control begins. Here only function could be called. but then it should be properly indented. It should not be indented within the function code, rather it should be out of it. All right, this is an example. In this example, there is a function defined known as print me, or the same function which was defined earlier, def print me of str, and this is known as docstring. Docstring print str, it is printing whatever has been passed, written. All right. Now we are out of the scope of function. This line, when it is indented like this, here, it is out of function. Only indentation is responsible to determine the code that belongs to function. It is out of the function and it is uh, being called here. The function is called. Print me, this is the name of the function, and this is the parameter, which is a string that is passed to the function. And this is calling the function for the second time with another parameter. When you execute this code, this would be the output. This is first call, again second call. Whenever there is a function call, control transfers the execution to this called function. This called function uh, would print whatever has been sent to it and return. Again, there is a function call. It does the same thing, prints the passed string and return. Pass by reference versus value. When the parameters are passed to a function, they could be passed by value or by reference. When it is passed by value, any modifications that is being done on that parameter is not reflected back at the caller end, whereas when it is passed by reference, it is actually manipulating the original parameter and all the changes would be reflected. It is like, suppose there is a chocolate, you are there, you and your friend. Your friend is a function and you want to send a chocolate. Send means suppose you both are there only, you are giving. You have one chocolate, you take one piece out of it and give the same chocolate to your friend here. And friend would take another piece and return. Then what happens from this original chocolate? Two pieces would be missing because one you have taken, one your friend has taken. And it is by reference, the actual original chocolate you have sent to your friend. If you use uh, this is pass by reference. When you use pass by value, you keep your chocolate with yourself, you take another chocolate, this is chocolate number 2, and send to your friend. What friend would do? Friend would take one piece out of this chocolate number 2. Therefore, in chocolate 1, one piece is missing, and in chocolate 2 another piece, because you have taken from chocolate 1 and your friend has taken in chocolate 2. So the modification that you are doing are not reflected in a single chocolate because they are both are different. That is by value. Here function is defined, def change me, my list is the parameter, and colon, docstring, print values inside the function before change. Before change, printing the list, whatever list has been received by change me function, it is printing it. In the following statement, it is modifying the element indexed by 2, 250. It is like updating or changing the value, which value which is placed at index number 2. After this modification, list is printed again, values inside the function after change. Here there is a call to the function. My list is a variable that you are defining. Uh, it is in fact a list, a sequence, an object of list which has three elements in 2030, and then there is a function called change me my list. You are sending 10 20 30. After you send 10 20 30, here it prints 10 20 30, and then it modifies 30 to 50, and it prints again. Finally, here the caller is printing my list, which is outside the function. This is the original list. These two are printed within the function. The list that has been passed to the function. This one is after updating index 2 value. Index 2 is 30. My list of 2 equal to 50 means now 30 is replaced with 50. This is also printing within the function, and then the control is out of the function. After it is out of the function, it is printing the list value, um, and if you observe here, you find the same list get printed within the function and outside the function. It means it is by reference. Here my list, students carefully observe here. This is something which is outside the function, and this one is within the function. This outside, there is one list defined, my list, and my list is sent as a parameter to change me function. And observe here, another my list is defined within the function. When my list is defined within the function, uh, wherever you are referring it further, it would refer to this local my list, not this global my list. This one is for the entire program, whereas this my list belongs only to this particular function, change me. And now this list is assigned a different value, 1, 2, 3, 4. Values inside the function when you are printing. Uh, what value do you think would get printed here? This my list would print 10, 20, 30 or 1, 2, 3, 4. Will anyone tell me, students?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Why 1, 2, 3, 4?
Ma'am, 10, 20, 30.
Why 10, 20, 30? Because both the answers are different. Please let me know why. What is your justification and what is yours?
Ma'am, which print statement, ma'am? First one or
Uh,
the bottom one?
the one which is within the function, this print. The print
1, 2,
which
3,
is
4, ma'am.
which is why 1, 2, 3, 4?
Ma'am, because Ma'am, the print statement is also within the same function, and that list is also defined in the same function, ma'am.
Hmm. So it refers to the list defined.
List within the function.
So that scope is the function scope.
Local.
My list defined within the function has a function scope. And wherever you refer to my list within the function, it refers to the local my list. This is local. Local means defined within the function and available within the function. Whereas this one is for the entire program. All right. So whatever print statement is printing within the function would print the list defined within the function. So here you get 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you print outside the function, values outside the function, my list, here you get 10, 20, 30. And suppose if you modify here, if you say my list of 1 equal to 5, which list would get modified? This local list, not this one. Then it is like you are actually not working on the uh, reference. You are working on your local copy. So within function you get 1, 2, 3, 4. Outside function you get 10, 20, 30. Function arguments. A function could be called by using different kinds of arguments, which are required arguments, keyword arguments, default arguments, variable length arguments. The required arguments are those arguments which are necessary to be passed in the correct positional order, and the number of arguments should exactly match with the function definition. This is required. Example is here there is a function print me which is having a parameter str. Uh, Now when you are calling the function without its parameter or argument, it raises an error because it is a required argument. Here it prints an error stating that required positional argument str. These kinds of arguments are known as required arguments. Keyword arguments are those arguments that are related to function calls, and caller identifies arguments by the parameter names. And this allows us to skip arguments or place them out of order because uh, there is a keyword that is provided to match the value of the argument. Example here is same function print me having a parameter or an argument str. You observe here students, here we are specifying key value pair here, means parameter and its value. When you have in this way, when you are passing, what happen what happens is uh, well, there is no need to have in the arguments in the same order because you are using argument name with its value. These are keyword based arguments. uh, Another example on the same keyword parameter is this. Print info is the function name. It has got two arguments, name and age. It is printing name and it is printing age, and it's not returning anything. Here there is a function invocation, function call, wherein along with the value, the keyword or the argument name is also specified age equal to 50, name is equals to Miki. If you observe here, name is actually the first argument, age is the second. But when the function is called, these are exchanged. How is it possible? Well, this is possible only because of usage of these names. If names are not specified, then you cannot have in this manner. You have to have name before the age. All right, students. And then default arguments are those arguments when they are not specified at the function call would take a default value which is specified at the time of function definition. In this example, there is a function print info which has got two arguments, name, age. Age has got a value assigned is equal to 35 in the function header itself. You observe here this function header has got two arguments, and out of these two, one is assigned a default value. In case you call this function with only name, it works absolutely fine. Apparently, uh, it would take 35 as age when it is not passed. Here, function is called print info, age equal to 50, name equal to Mickey. This is again reversing the order, and it is allowed because names are also used. And in the second function call, there is only name specified without age. Because age is not specified, it would take default value which is 35. It's default arguments. Variable length arguments. Variable length arguments allow function call to be invoked with the different number of arguments. In fact, when a function is defined in the function header, specified number of arguments are mentioned, and those are necessary to be invoked in case you don't have default and in case you don't have keyword based arguments. But then there is a method through which it is possible to have variable length arguments. Variable length means that is changing. Sometimes you invoke with 2, sometimes you invoke with 3, and that is possible because of this uh, asterisk uh, variable arguments tuple. This asterisk is placed before this object that states that this one would hold uh, different numbers, different number of values. Example is given here. Print info is the function name. Arg1 is first argument. Asterisk var tuple. Asterisk var tuple means what? This is a placeholder for variable length argument, and this is doc string. Hash is for comment. I'm writing here comment doc string. Print output is this exactly the same string would be printed. Output is followed by arg1, whatever is passed as the first argument, this one. For var in var tuple, this is var tuple. Why it is var? Why it is for? Because it might have more than one value. Therefore, to print it, for loop is leveraged. For var in var tuple, var in var tuple means one by one variable will take values from this variable. Print var written. In the first instance, only 10 is passed, and in the second instance, 70, 60, and 50 are passed. And in the first case, the output is just 10. In the second, output is 70, 60, 50. These are three. Uh, any doubts, students, in the type of function arguments? Okay. The next one is anonymous function. Anonymous means without a name. You might see this anonymous in social networking sites where people will post their comments uh, without their name and just write anonymous. Anonymous is a function without its name. There are inline functions in C++. Inline functions are those functions that are replaced at the function call. Function body is replaced at the function call. A small function, a single line or two lines function is uh, created as an inline function. Like that, similar to that concept, here there is a lambda function in Python. These lambda functions are also small anonymous functions, and these functions have their own namespace and they have their own variables which could be uh, printed in this manner, and that lambda function would begin with the keyword lambda, and this lambda function has two arguments, argument 1, argument 2, colon, that which is a function body. Function body is arg1 plus arg2. This line is function definition as well as function call, both. No, sorry. Function call is uh, here. This function definition is this much, and then its value you are returning into another variable which is sum. This is lambda function. Lambda functions are small functions which are defined in a line, which can also take arguments and which begins with the keyword lambda. So you have lambda. These are the two arguments to lambda, and this is the body of the lambda function. And its body is doing, it is adding these two arguments. And where is that added value stored? In a variable sum. Here it is like defining the function. Here function definition. Function has to be called. Function is called with not by the name here. In fact, it is called with this name, which is sum. Sum is the function body, whatever function is performing, that you are storing in sum. So sum of two arguments you are passing, 10, 20. So this 10 is argument 1, 20 is argument 2, and it perform addition of 10 and 20, and it returns the value. Here value of total is equal to, here whatever value it returns, that would be printed. And in the second line, sum is invoked with two different values, two different arguments, and The same operation happens here as well. Essentially, this adds 2020 and prints the value 40. This is anonymous lambda functions. A return statement. This return statement in this function is taking, so far whatever functions have been defined, they had uh, return without any expression. Means they were returning nil, nothing. Here it is returning a value stored in total. There is a function sum with the two arguments. Total is equals to argument 1 plus argument 2. And inside the function, printing and returning both. Printing the total value, returning the total value. When total is returned, it has to be taken into another variable, or it can be directly printed uh, by enclosing it within print statement. Here total is, observe students, here also there are two totals. This is one total, this is another total. This total belongs to the function. This total is outside the function. This total receives the sum of 10 and 20 and it gets printed outside the function. So it is 30, 30. Scope of variables, we have global variables and local variables. Local variables are defined within the function. Global variables are defined outside the function. In this example, this total is defined outside this function, before this function, which is a global variable. This total equal to 0 is, uh, default value which is assigned, initial value. In other words, initial value is assigned to total. A function is defined sum with the two arguments arg1, arg2. Arg1, arg2 are added and stored in another total. Please observe this total is having a local scope. It is a local variable to some function, whereas the outside total is a global variable which is uh, whose scope is the entire program. Inside the function, local total is total, return total, and here sum 10 comma 20, it prints local total. Outside the function, global total equal to total. What would be the output, students? Anyone, will anyone tell me? What is this total output and what is this total output?
First one 0.
First one is,
0.
first one means inside function is what? Inside function,
0, ma'am.
outside function.
30, ma'am.
30. Okay,
Here
okay.
30. Are you sure? Again, look at the program again carefully.
Ma'am, first one 30, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, first we declare the function. Then after
Hmm.
that 3 lines, we are writing that sum of 10 comma 20. So 10 will be argument 1 and 20 will be argument 2. So
Hmm.
it is sum. So we will call the function.
Hmm.
So the output will be inside the function local total
Yes,
30.
very good. So it is 30 here and here. Here also 30.
Zero, ma'am, because scope of that function will be into there.
Yeah, scope of total has ended here. Here, this is the end of the function. At the end of the function, the scope of this total also ends because it is local. And outside this function, it is the scope of global variable. And global variable has a value 0. Therefore, here you get 0. Or are all students clear with this? If not, um, we will discuss again. Hmm? Are you all clear with this? This first cell demonstrate a simple function. Print me. Oh, what happened? This function definition is here. This because it is not commented. It was giving error. That's it. Uh, this function is defined. There is no print. There is nothing to be displayed. This first cell, there is no output, students. Why there is no output? Because this function is not called. Although there is a print within the function, but function has to be called no, in order for this print to be executed and to print the statement or string, it has to be invoked. So what is done here is in this cell function is defined, in another cell function is called. Or you can combine these two in one cell, that is also not a problem. This second cell is calling print me twice. So there is a print of first string as the first argument as which is a string, and second one is second print me function call with another string as argument which gets printed. And then this is by reference. Here values inside the function before change. This this my list here. This print. Hmm? Let me show you which print. The print which is within the function here is printing 10, 20, 30. You can see the second print after modifying, after updating the value. This is this one 10, 20, 50. And here values outside the function, my list, because it is passed by reference, it has been modified, but then we get the modified list. This is local my list and global my list. Mm, Print within the function would print 1, 2, 3, 4. Outside the function would print 10, 20, 30. This is function definition and function call. This will raise an error. Why this will raise an error? Because we are calling the function without any argument. Required positional argument str missing. This is example of required argument. This is an example of argument with keyword. Str equal to my string, this str, and it is printing str my string. And here also this is keyword based argument where you are just reversing the order. Print name age. This one is default argument. Age is equal to 35 by default. If you miss calling age, it takes 35. In the first call, age is 50 and the name. In the second call, there is no age, it's only name. So default value is printed essentially. This one is, what is this one? Variable length arguments. Okay, variable length arguments with begin with this asterisk. This is arg1, just one argument. And at this place it is 0. Whereas in the second instance, you see this is one argument and we have another 2 arguments. Here you are specifying asterisk variable, so it can take 2, 3, 4, any number of arguments. And to print that, we are using for loop. This one is a lambda function. Lambda, which is an anonymous function used for small single line codes. This is local and global scope of total. Total within the function and total outside the function. A global variable total is defined with the value 0, and a total within the function is assigned sum of the arguments. This first print within the sum would give 30, and second print outside the sum would give 0. Okay. Let us change this. Let us change this bit and see. If total is assigned a value 10, the output would be 30 and 10. 30 and 10. If different values are passed to sum, it prints 50 for this because argument values are 30 and 20. Local variable, which is defined inside the function, is 50. Outside the function, which is global, is 10. If this is changed to 40, then outside the function, this total would print 40. All right, students, do you have any other doubt? Anything else to ask in this concept of functions? Save. Now, today, we have learned defining and calling a function, different types of arguments which are required, keyword, default, and variable length. We learned about anonymous function. These are the 3 questions that have been discussed in today's class. So please add into the list. Next week, Actually, I'll check all these next week. Hmm? Tomorrow also we have class. After tomorrow's class, whatever question are there for you to write answers for would be again discussed or asked next Tuesday. Okay, yesterday 5 questions were given. You add more three from 20 to 22, and then more few more will be added to this list tomorrow after tomorrow's class. All right, student. Today I will send this notebook as well as those questions. How many of you have really executed in collab these things? Two students have laptops. At least those two have executed. Yes or no? Let me take the attendance. Manasa,
Yes, ma'am.
execution is being done or not?
And from my side, I tried to do it in phone,
Hmm.
but the basic programs I did it. Not these like functions and tuples. I did not work out on
You do one thing. Don't try to
that.
open the entire file from mobile.
Mm-hmm.
In one notebook, anyway, you're writing programs in your notes, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
line by line, you do. Just type one single line and execute.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to do all this in mobile, it may not support because it is a large
Okay.
file.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, what you do is first write down all the programs in your notebook and execute one by one. One, three,
Okay, ma'am.
five, six. Those who have laptop, they can do at once. 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, 21, 23, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37, 39, 41, 42, 44, 45, 47, 49, 50, 54, 57. Students, line by line, you please try to execute. If you execute, otherwise, there are apps. In your mobile phone, Android phones, you can install Python apps wherein you can type the program and execute. That is also, I'll share one app with you all today. If not that, a collab, try to execute in the app. But without execution, you won't get that practical knowledge. So it is essential to execute.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, students.